Congratulations on being accepted for Catalyzer, and this is the beginning of your training. Module 1, getting started. So what is crowdfunding? At this point, most people know what crowdfunding is, but it is the practice of funding a project by raising many small amounts of money from a large number of people, typically via the internet. It's a powerful way to raise funds through peer-to-peer solicitation and outreach, and puts power in donors' hands to contribute to something they believe is important. It can be a cliche, but small gifts do add up to make a larger impact. And having a specific project with a defined timeline is very important to build a sense of urgency, which builds momentum towards the project eventually being funded. At the end of the day, it's all about storytelling. It is a way for you to convince donors that your project is important and deserves to be funded. Crowdfunding at Northwestern is done through Catalyzer, we use a company called GiveCampus to build our crowdfunding pages. A couple important aspects of crowdfunding at Northwestern. Gifts are tax deductible, which means every donation someone makes to a Catalyzer crowdfunding campaign at Northwestern is tax deductible. 100% of the proceeds go to the project, so we do not take any processing fees. There is no cost to the student groups using Catalyzer. They get 100% of the proceeds for the project. And another advantage of doing crowdfunding through Catalyzer is that we have gift receipts that are automatically sent on behalf of the university once someone makes a donation. So when someone makes a donation, there's no follow-up that's needed in that immediate moment. There are 4 phases to a Catalyzer cycle, and the first is the planning phase, which you are currently in. So the planning phase lasts about a month and involves going through training, creating materials for review. All the materials that you create will be reviewed by staff members just to make sure that it is within Northwestern's style guide. There are no typos or grammatical issues, things like that. So we will review all of your materials during this phase. You will produce your pitch video and thank you video, and you will upload your project page. The quiet phase lasts a week, and this is the initial phase of fundraising for your project, where you will reach out to people with the strongest connection to your group and fundraise 20 to 30% of your fundraising goal. You will have a semi-public page where it will have a countdown to the beginning of your project, and you can include some basic information about the project at that point. The next phase is the active phase, which is a month, and that is the public launch of your page. It is visible on the Catalyzer landing page, and you can conduct outreach to the broader donor base. This is where you'll be posting on social media, where you'll be doing the bulk of your fundraising. And the final phase is after your project fundraising closes, and it's called the stewardship phase, where you really focus on thanking donors and providing progress updates to donors about how your project is going. And that can go up into a year out from the project. This graphic shows the components of your project team. So you start with 2 to 3 project leaders at the base. You'll have 3 to 5 project champions assisting you, and then ambassadors from there. The project leader role is the role that you currently are serving in. It requires 2 to 3 people, and you are the main communicators with the staff liaison. You will be managing the deliverables and the timeline, so really being the leaders from your group to make sure that your team is accountable, informed, and encouraged. That means you'll also be building your project team and delegating tasks to them, as well as completing the online training modules that you are currently doing. The staff liaison role is the staff member from Alumni Relations and Development who you have been working with, and their responsibility is supporting you in making sure that your group achieves your goal. That means they will assist you in being trained, providing templates and resources, reviewing and approving deliverables, helping you brainstorm or pivot throughout the fundraising cycle if something isn't working, helping you figure out a new way that you might be able to achieve your goal. And ultimately, the goal is to help you achieve your fundraising goal. They will serve as a task manager, but also really be your strongest cheerleader. They want to see you succeed, and they want to help you be creative and be successful in fundraising. They will hold office hours in Norris for in-person advising, and will be available for remote advising as needed as well. They will communicate that to you throughout the cycle. The next role is the project champions role, which can be 3 to 5 people from your group who are responsible for supporting you in having a successful fundraising campaign. So that can range from being responsible for creating specific pieces of content, adding personal networks to the peer-to-peer solicitation email list, which will be a list of emails that you put together with your group of people in your network to reach out to for your project. They can share their interest and involvement with the project to their personal and social networks, and they can also serve in being creative and finding new advertising mechanisms, whether it be through partner organizations on campus, blogs, mission-aligned nonprofits, helping you in any way they can to get the word out there about the project and hopefully help you meet the goal. The final role is the ambassador role, and this can be anyone. It can be group members, alumni, engaged supporters. There's no limit to the number of ambassadors you can have. The goal is to have a network of people who are willing to share the project with their personal social networks and help as directed by the project leaders. So depending on your project strategy, that can range from sending emails, posting on social media, and even adding personal emails to your peer-to-peer solicitation email list, if that makes sense based on your project strategy. Goal setting is a crucial part of your crowdfunding. And although your group is approved with a goal, you might want to consider meeting with your staff liaison to make sure that your goal was realistic. You want to set your goal based on the amount of money you can raise rather than your budgetary deficit. You can get an idea of how much you can raise by the amount of personal emails that will be sent out by your team members and ambassadors. An industry standard metric that you can use to get an idea is that each personal email address has a value of about $4. So, for example, if your project if your group had 1,000 emails, a realistic goal would be $4,000 for your project. And remember that your goal has a huge impact on whether or not people want to give to your project. People like to support a winning project, so if you select a very high unrealistic goal, fewer people want to give. But if you select a smaller realistic goal, the project becomes more legitimate and more people will give. Remember as well that you will be expected to raise 20 to 30% of your goal by the time that your project is publicly launched. If you hit your goal in the active phase, you can keep fundraising money by establishing a stretch goal. Decide on whether you want to do a stretch goal and what that stretch goal would be during your quiet phase in coordination with your staff liaison. While you're considering your stretch goal, you should think about 3 factors. Number 1, keep it realistic. Consider how long it took you to reach your initial goal, how much time you have remaining in the campaign, and your additional outreach capabilities. If you've already exhausted your email lists, then you might want to have a lower stretch goal, for example. Number 2, explain the additional impact that can be achieved with the stretch goal. In both an update and at the top of your project description, you want to explain what the additional money raised will do. Make sure that this is in line with what your project is already fundraising for. You don't want to change up the game on your donors mid-project cycle and fundraise for something completely unrelated to what you already were working on. Number 3 is you don't want to update the goal amount in your project settings. You only want to use the description and updates for this. And the reason for this is that by changing the goal amount, you disrupt the momentum you have within the progress bar on the page and risk misleading your donors. By explaining the additional impact a stretch goal will have in the project description and updates, donors will understand the additional need and hopefully consider contributing. And for the last slide of Module 1, here is an example of a successful stretch goal from a recent project. You can see that the goal stayed the same at $6,000, and the group communicated the stretch goal by posting an update on their page and doing outreach to their donors on social media and email to communicate that.